Cool.
All right, Josh and I were just chatting about anime, chatting about Peaky Blinders, and here we are with another episode of Upgrade Talks. What's been going on, bro?
Not much. Not much, you know what I mean? Just getting in the Tommy Shelby spirit. I need to add a
Peaky
little razor blade
Blinders,
here.
eh?
By order of the Peaky fucking blinders.
For
Man, I've been
sure.
getting into this.
Yeah, it's a damn for sure. It suits you though, that hat. You're lucky. You're fucking lucky.
Bro, I know. How funny. Oh, when we used to put the snapbacks
Oh,
on my
dude.
head. Yuck.
Oh, I've still got some killer photos.
Yeah, you keep them killer photos.
How funny, the one hat that suits you is the one that's not conventional hat.
He's the one that
Most
you take the piss
unconventional
out
hat.
of, you know?
Damn. Well, yeah, look, I'll go into some of the things that's been happening on my end. Um, just to start it off, a book I just finished reading for the second time, but I would say finished reading properly for the first time since last time I skipped a few chapters. This book here, No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline by Brian Tracy. Man, the reason I thought it'd be good to bring up is just, like I said to you, because I've told you about this book many times, and I'm sure you've been over it. It's just so damn good. It's so good. It cuts out all the bullshit that you can find in these type of books. It's just very simple, very well written, very concise. There's no fluff. The contents kind of show you itself what the book is about. It's just broken up into three sections: self-discipline and personal success, where he goes over character, goal setting, personal excellence, persistence. Then it's got self-discipline in business and sales, going over things in that region: money, time management, problem solving, and then self-discipline in the good life. So happiness, physical health, marriage, children, friendship, and peace of mind. So it's cool. It's so cool seeing how they tie self-discipline into all those different areas. And definitely a book, like, I thought to myself after finishing, I'm like, I have to share this one 100% today. I have to share this one, just based on how well written it is. So I'll put it in the link. No Excuses, Power of Self-Discipline, Brian Tracy.
So
OG.
did you just finish that?
Just finished that. Probably like 30 minutes before I sent you that text. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good. And that's good that, like, just roughly from what you just said, does it go through the discipline of when you've made it and you are in a good life?
Yes. And he tells you, in his own way, in his own experiences, what other challenges people face once they get there. That's why the very last chapter, it's just fun. It's cool seeing what the book ends on. It starts with all the stuff that you would expect to find in a self-help book: time management, managing your money, managing your problems, mindset. And then it ends with things that you wouldn't really expect to find in self-discipline books, such as self-discipline in children, self-discipline in marriage, self-discipline in friendships, self-discipline and peace of mind is the very last chapter. And he
Yeah.
actually touches on Zen Buddhism, on mindset. So it's different to what you would expect. It's not in depth. It just covers facts and principles, and that's it.
Good. That's
Really good.
applicable. That's the sort of knowledge you
Yeah,
want, you know, like you read it and you can
100%.
actionably do it right now or when you get there, you know. That's good. That's cool that you say that, the Zen Buddhism, because that's exactly what they were going through with The Last Dance. And Phil Jackson, coach of the Chicago Bulls, was going through with Michael Jordan and that, going through the Zen Buddhism of having peace in mind and being present, which they said was
Yeah,
the number one key to winning so many games. Man, everything's
man,
linked. It's all linked.
it's all linked, and it's so cool with The Last Dance. We've been talking about that for a while now, but so worth it because you see at the elite level different ingredients coming into play. Mindset plus. That's why somewhat look. Actually, it ties in really well to the books that I bought on the weekend, which I promised myself I wouldn't buy any books, but here we are again. I bought this one by Ram Dass. It's called Be Here Now. This
Oh,
book was
yeah.
recommended to me by Dan Herbertson from Absolute. And speaking of meditating, Dan has helped me just with conversations and whatnot to do with meditating. And yeah, it's funny seeing how that's tied in. Same with The Last Dance. there are certain ingredients in play that are I wouldn't say necessary, but are valuable. And one of those things is, I would say, look, not Buddhism, not anything other than just peace of mind or control of your mind or trying to be in unison with your mind. And these are things that help when you're trying to work hard at anything. So this is a book I'm looking forward to. He recommended this book under some good circumstances too. So that's going to be fun. And the other two books.
Wait, did you end up getting The Power of Now or not?
I do have it, but I didn't buy it. Who gave me that? Someone gave me that book. I forgot who gave me that book. I should remember, but someone gave me that book. So it's sitting in Glenroy, ready for me to read.
Yeah, it'll probably be the same as Be Here Now anyway. Same sort of principle.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But this is interesting, this book. It doesn't look like this is how it's written kind of thing, you know? Look, it's like that. So.
What, the other way around?
It's interesting. You'll check it out. Yeah, it's an interesting book. So I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know too much about it. I've just bought it based on recommendation and valid opinion. But check it out when I catch up with you in person. Suss this book out. It's pretty interesting the way it's just laid out, and flicking through it, gems. You just find little gems and you're like, all right, I want to pay attention.
Sweet. Write down.
Other two, I'll just quickly finish up. This one here, The Lies of Locke Lamora. This is just a fictional book based on someone who's supposed to be the Thorn of Camelot, said to be an unbeatable swordsman, a master thief, friend to the poor, and a ghost that walks the walks. Good book. It's gonna be fun.
Gotta have that mix.
What was that?
Gotta have that mix.
Yeah, that's why it was interesting. That's why it was interesting when I read it. I was like, okay, this is cool. That's why books like this books are so interesting. Like fictional books. I don't think too many people read fictional books, but look at The Game Is Life. That itself, you see how interesting it is when you get really absorbed into a book. That's what happens every time you read a good fictional book. It's different to watching a movie because that's more visual and audio. Reading a book when you get into the story, it's like you're mentally entering into a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last book is Ideas That Matter. Just going over different ideas, 21st century. It's going to be cool. But
Ideas That Matter.
The Game Is Life. The Game Is Life.
The Game Is Life. That's very short. You know, when you say that about how fictional books don't get enough attention, man, they don't get enough attention until they do. And when they do, usually you'll get a massive movie series and then the biggest thing ever. So it's like
Game of Thrones.
You know, how
many Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. You know, like they're game changing. And for so many different reasons. They can shift a culture. Or Player One, you know, Ready Player One, that movie that came through. And like even that, you see it and you're like, oh, whoa, like that could be possible, you know? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a game.
You can learn from fictional books, which I think not too many people are actually aware of that. You can learn from fictional books just as much as you can learn from non-fiction books. I think people who get into reading at an older age, I'm talking adolescent onwards, they can focus more on the non-fiction, which is fine. Dabble around in the fiction books. It's like how we were chatting about all the different animes we watched beforehand, Avatar, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. You learn so much from all these fictional stories, all this type of entertainment. Now, each character has certain characteristics. It's always fun. It's always interesting. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much to gain from them.
Are you reading when you're reading The Game Is Life? Are you reading book one, or did you read any more from there?
I'm reading book one, and I'm only a little bit through it because I'm like, let me finish this one before I get distracted. But I'm just a little bit through it. But going through it again, man, just like how you said when you were going through it again, so good to touch on all the different concepts they go over in that book. Like it's probably worth us even chatting about now because it will give people a better idea of what we're talking about when we talk about Game Is Life. Probably not a lot of people have taken the time to go and read it or buy it. Maybe they'll just hear us talk about it. But
yeah, we did talk about this in a prior episode, but I mean, we're always picking up new listeners, so it's good to touch on here and there. So what's the concept of The Game Is Life?
The Game Is Life, the concept is to do with virtual reality. And it's very best way to explain it is it's similar to the Matrix, but not like the Matrix. So there is a separate virtual world that you enter, but this is in fact an education system, but more than an education system, it's a system that the whole society, that the whole world now depends on. So in place of media and movies and entertainment and sport, all that is on TV is the lives and the gameplays of these people entering the game. You go there as a kid and you enter the game as a child, and each play you're allowed to go back many times up until you're 18. And the money you earn through the game is what will set you up outside of this game. And everything is revolved around it. So everyone in society will have certain characters that they watch. Someone might really be interested in watching an exciting play from, let's say, Mozart, let's say from McGregor. Let's say this was, if Earth was the virtual reality, someone would watch and see, damn, that McGregor guy is having a real good play right now. And then there are certain things that people can do to enter the game, that people outside the game can do, such as thirsting. Thirsting is like, if you see a gameplay you really like and you have the money for it, you can pay to experience that person's life from a first person perspective. So that's the concept. That's the world they live in this book, The Game is Life.
Yeah. So it's the education system. There's no schools. Every play that they have is a lifetime lived, and they keep that knowledge when they exit the game. But when you go back into it, you don't have any prior memories beforehand. So you think it's absolutely real. You experience everything in real time, and you live a whole lifetime. Yeah. You don't know the outside. You don't know what's outside. But you come out, it takes you like a week to readjust, to realize, oh shit, like I'm me. So then you plan for your next play where you spend some of your money to have occurrences that happen. You can pay on probability. It's not a given, but you can pay for good chances that you'll be going into a good family. You'll have a certain characteristics or intuition, and everything that it's crazy because everything they talk about when they talk about human emotions is just occurrences that you paid for, like an algorithm. So your intuition means more than what you think, or your dreams mean more than what you think. It's not just coincidence. It's actually something that you enforce in yourself prior, if we're going on the Game's Life theory. And I think that it's so important for you to trust your gut, because it's like you telling yourself a message on the outside. It'll get you places.
And a big key there is the idea that they can spend their credits or their money on different things to level up. So you can exit the game and be like, all right, this time when I go in, let me bump up charisma. Let me enter within this type of family. Let me have this sort of focus. But what's really interesting is that the girl, one of the main characters who enters, and this is where I'm starting to draw a lot from her gameplay in the book, is that when she enters, her main focus is on playing the game, living life as though it's a game. Is that it? Did I get that one correct?
Yeah. So it's her last play. So she doesn't have very much money. And because maybe when you turn 18, you get kicked out and you're never allowed to play the game again. So on the last one, usually people make like a modest run. They don't want to risk too much just in case they don't earn enough money to set themselves out for the rest of their life. But she took the risk. She spent everything she had on trying to enforce that her character was playing a game of life, that everything was a game and nothing was serious. And that's what she did. She lived her full life, which is where the book one kicks off, that she was just playing a game. The world is a big playground, and all the mini games that you set yourself is going to accumulate to win the overall game of life, which is where we draw the inspiration from.
One little update on that, only because I've literally just gone over it. So True has just come out of the game. This is how the book one starts off. True has just come out of the game, and he's had one of the best gameplays out. Everyone in the world is talking about his gameplay. I think he's ranked in the top 2. There's only one person finishing above him. And now he's in a position where he can retire and sit pretty with all his credits. And in his next gameplay, just choose to live an average life. Don't spend any credits on health or longevity. So maybe he'll fail out or die early, and then that way he'll be left with a bunch of money. But he makes the choice to go big or go home on his last play, and he spends all the money that he's earned on certain characteristics. And this gets really serious. They have teams around him that put in some analysis and figure out where they want to spend their credits. And then the girl actually failed out of the game. She was what they call, she was a really good player. And then what happened was she failed out. And then the game itself gives a wild card. And it gave her, the wild card it chose was her. So now she's got this second opportunity to go back in the game, which is big, because when you fail out of the game and you don't have credits, life is not good for people who don't do well in the game. So if you graduate at 18 and you haven't earned enough money from the game plays and you've messed up, you're struggling, and you're living in certain districts where it's dangerous. It's dangerous day to day. It's not good. So she comes back in, and that's what she decides. She goes, and she could have done it different. She could have decided to go back in and just go for an average play to get some extra cash. But she goes, you know what? I'm going to put all my money on longevity, on health, and on playing this game, on focus. And then the woman asks her, okay, you spent so much money or so many credits on focus. What are you going to focus on? And then she says, I'm just going to focus on playing the game or living life as though it's a game. And a lot happens from that. Yeah.
Damn, so pivotal. We talked about this earlier, about what we thought we would have spent our credits on coming into this life as Josh and as Sam. Do you think they've changed?
Do I think that, like, what I said earlier has changed?
Yeah. What did you say earlier on the early episode? You said you spent your credits on focus, I think.
I remember saying focus and on, I don't actually remember. I don't want to misquote myself, but I do believe I would have said focus, because I believe that something I have inherently, you could say, is a stubborn focus, to latch onto something or an idea and then not let go.
Yeah.
So I think that would be one credit. And then we both would have spent on different upbringings. I remember you mentioning that, because you also mentioned you would have spent on interacting with characters at certain times. Because in the game that they can actually send people in. So these people like, the people that we've met, Jimmy, the good people that have given many gems to you or I or both of us, I believe that too, that everyone that we've interacted with has given us some sort of gem that we've been able to draw and try and act on.
And it hits in a different way. It's not like they just say it off the cuff. It's like when they say it, it's almost like they're looking at your soul saying it, and you're like, wait, how do you know I needed that right now? And I think that you don't take that lightly. You got to hear it and be like, hang on a minute, this, because if you don't, you're in the same position that you were anyway. But if you decide to be like, hang on a second, you know what, that's probably right, and then you act upon that, you're going to make a real difference in your life. And I think it's important to do that.
Big time. And that comes down to being open to receiving these gifts, which is what they are. Anytime someone gives you some sort of advice, it's a gift. And it's like, we have to be able to receive it in that way. Otherwise, it's not a bad thing if you don't, but otherwise you miss out on what's being given. But you're right, you are right. There are times when certain things are said, certain things are said, and it hits different. It hits different. And I think that's what you can call, or you can choose to identify with that how you want. I like to identify with that as you could say fate, or a string of fate, or something in the game. And I go off that a lot. You go off that a lot.
Yeah, why not? You're going to get benefits, so you may as well. Like whoever's listening now, how did you get here? How did you get here? Where are you right now? And why are you listening? Why did you choose to listen right now? And everything that we're saying, this is actionable, like you're here right now in this point in time of your life, when we just happen to be recording and thought of an idea to make this podcast and talk like this. And it's like, well, ask yourself now, what sort of little interactions have I had in the last couple of years, or even the last month, or even just through isolation? And it's like, if I had actioned upon them, would I have a different life? Would I be going in a different direction? Well, you can do the same thing now. Ask yourself now, and where are you going to go from there? Do you like where you are now? Do you like where you're heading or not? That's your choice. You have the action, and the control is in your hands. No one's doing this for you. You know what I mean? Like, you came into this with your
playing
own
the game.
Yeah, you got to play the game. No one's going to
play. Whether you believe it or not, you're playing the game. You're the one here. Now, that's a great starting point in trying to figure out what to do next. Knowing that I'm the one playing, so I've got to be the one to do these. A lot of people, I feel, a lot of times we can lose sight of that, the fact that we are actually in control, that we are the ones playing the game. But it's a good reminder. That's good. And the thing about this whole Game is Life book series is it uniquely ties in so many different elements of life that we really think are valuable. Like the girl, and True, sorry, no, the girl, I think True is the one that meditates. Yes. Yeah. So True in the game, he meditates, and meditating is a way for him to access different I don't want to ruin the book, but it's how he communicates.
Yeah.
With people in the game. So they tie everything in. Danielle ties in a lot of things to do with health. Early on in her gameplay, she develops a keen focus on Eastern medicine and on health in general. And that becomes a big focus of hers. And it's funny because it's like, you look at it from the outside as a reader, and you say, what's the difference between me and the characters in this book? They choose to focus on certain things. I can choose to focus on certain things. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah, or like, why have you got a certain focus already? Like, why have you got such a massive focus on MMA? Was that a goal beforehand? It's like, well, if you have that deep inclination for something that you just haven't been able to let go of, you've always been around that. As long as it's not been forced on you by your parents, you don't actually like it. But if you actually like that and you can't stop thinking about it, and you're like, I don't know where this is going. Am I going to make money off it? Is it just a temporary thing? There's a good chance that if you pursue that, you could lean somewhere. Not so much as, it's going to be, you're a big success and you got a lot of money, but I'm just talking to live a good life around something that you enjoy. Isn't that what
100.
We're here to do?
That's it. That's such a great thing, to live a good life. And then it comes down to defining what that is. But I think a big part of that definition is doing what you enjoy. Because when you think about it, when you say we have to work, when I say we have to work, I'm saying that we all have to spend time doing something that will allow us to look after ourselves and our family. Now, there are certain things in place and pathways that are well known and understood. University, study, or learn a skill set, learn a trade, apply yourself, start a business. But whatever it is that you choose, it's something that we're going to be doing probably 8 hours out of our day. Maybe more, maybe less. 5 days a week, again, maybe more, maybe less. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to be engaged in something. So I think, when possible, feel out. We all have, people say, I guess, well, I don't know what I love. I don't know what I enjoy. So some people are lucky enough to really know instantly, this is what I enjoy, this is what I love. But if you don't know, sometimes just look through your own life at certain things that you have had more of an inclination towards. Sometimes it could be something like writing. If you like writing, if you like art, if you like sport, if you like filmmaking, whatever it is, if you like playing games, there's something out there. Just put time and effort into it. I think that when you do that, it grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And because you have an actual positive emotion towards the thing you're doing, it makes you resilient to everything that comes your way. All the issues that come with pursuing something, all the negative feedback. It's
a
very
good chance that you've probably already, like, if you're already having some sort of
come across it
or something, you're probably just a viewer, like you're a fan of it. But you can change that, you know, like you don't have to be that guy that sits there on Instagram flicking through film videos one after the other. But you're obviously pretty interested in film, you know, so instead of watching it, you know, start making your own little short film in your house.
Yeah.
30 seconds or a minute, play around with the editing, you know, and now you're taking the step towards being that, you know, now you like it so much, you can hit someone up, you know, start sending out emails to local guys that, you know, are looking for a filmmaker or whatever, or start doing it for a business as a freelancer. See how it starts.
It's about planting a seed, and then it will grow. And it's like planting a seed and then giving time for it to grow, but knowing that it will. Nothing just happens, but you need to plant it, you know, because the time is going to pass anyway. 5 years from now, you're going to be at 5 years from now. So you might as well start it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I'm seeing it happen. I love seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. The time will pass anyway. Like you got a choice of what you do with that. Yeah, what is that? We spoke about that on a recent episode. There was between stimulus and response, there is choice.
Choice, yeah, the freedom to choose.
Yes.
That's where we have our power.
Freedom to choose, yeah. Yeah, well, going into that, from this whole player one STEM, you've been doing something similar, because the whole thing with the player one is to understand your character first, know who you are, know what you're about, and then act from there, act accordingly with things that are in your favor, which you've done. You started doing some physical scans, right?
Yeah, I was speaking to Reese from Rival Management, and he put me in touch with Geordie, who's a dietitian that works with a lot of people. And I got part of the process of working with them is to go and get scanned up. So I was prompted to do that. And when I went there, I decided to pay for 1 or 2 extra services. So like you said, know thyself. When you know yourself, you know more about where to improve, what to do, and especially with actual living, you know where to make certain upgrades. So I went and got a scan at Body DEXA Fit or Body DEXA Health from good bloke there, Tony E. This scan is the most accurate scan in terms of just letting you know body weight, percentage of lean muscle, percentage of fat, bone density. And then I also did a metabolic test, breath analysis to test out your metabolism. And he also has DNA testing kits, which I didn't get, but you can get DNA testing kit for your diet, for vitamins and supplements. There's all sorts of testing you can get done. But for me, it was about figuring out or knowing more about exactly how I am and where I'm at, because now I can make more decisions. You know, now I really know exactly, in terms of also caloric intake, amount of energy I expend, as we've all guessed, in terms of my friends that I train with, my metabolism was ridiculously really, really high, which isn't necessarily the best thing in the world, but there's positives to it. It just means I burn a lot of energy, a lot of calories doing not much. So that's why it's like, for me to put on weight, for me to I need to fuel myself correctly. And now we know exactly. And I'm really glad that I was prompted to do this, because I can see the benefit. Now we know in terms of calories, how much I should have on heavy days, on lighter days. Very important. I think it's valuable. It's valuable. It's valuable. The principle itself.
Especially in an athletic endeavor. These are once you get to that certain level, it's the 1%ers that count, that make the difference, you know? And it could be simple.
Just go and watch Joe Rogan with Henry Cejudo, the former champ of my division, and look at what he's talking about and the way he approaches training. You really, like you said, it's those 1%ers. You got to really try and tighten up in all these areas.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's good. That's really good that you did that. So you weren't interested, or maybe like there's probably a lot for one day, but are you interested in doing any like DNA genome testing?
I will. I think I will. First I was like, they're going to have, then I was like, wait, I don't care who's got my DNA and all this sort of information. Everyone's going to have everything on me anyway. But I will do that. Well, I'm going to try and get this test done, the whole thing done again in about 6 months, and go from there. And when I do that, this time I'll get all the other things done. If anyone's wondering about the cost, it wasn't crazy. So just to get the DEXA scan, it's about $99 or $100. And to get DEXA scan plus the metabolic testing, I think it was about maybe 200.
That's good.
So a little bit, yeah. It's like, I guess you could say if it's not something valuable to you, it could sound pricey. But if it's something valuable to you, you'll think this is definitely worth it. You know?
Yeah,
yeah. Spend $100 and no, yeah.
It's perspective, you know. Like, are you going to buy, you know, these new shoes, or you want to invest in yourself? It's always going to be invested. That's good.
Always like that. It's like worth it, isn't it?
Yeah. Worth it. That's it. I've been looking a little bit into the whole DNA genome testing, and I was looking at some kits that you can like do it yourself, and I'm like, probably not the best idea. I'll probably fuck it up somehow. But yeah, I'd actually, if I'll grab you the info after. I want to have a look at what genomes you carry, because then you can because I was been thinking a lot about passing off offspring, and I have this whole debate in my head whether am I fit to carry on my genes into the world, because that's all you're doing, you know what I mean? Like, it's you're not. A lot of people want to have that whole alpha thing where, you know, it's my genes, it's my baby, I'm gonna make him to greatness. But are you really doing that? Like, are your genes the best to carry on or not? You're going to have them too many predispositions? They're going to put them on a setback early on or not? You know. So I think it's worth looking into. Are you really doing the best and giving the best chance or not? So,
and I was talking about that with my dad. This is an interesting point. You might find this interesting. So I was like to him, look, is it weird seeing, you know, because there's 4 kids, I got 3 siblings. I'm like, is it weird seeing how all your kids have such different dispositions and whatnot? I'm like, isn't that weird? Because same parents, same house, you know, similar upbringing. And he brought up genetics. He was like, yes, but at the same time, just because people grow up in the same house with the same parents, there are many variables outside of that. Number one, if you want to go based on that dynamic, even though it's the same parents, there's still a different genetic makeup. That's the reason you look different. And even though you live in the same house, there are so many different things going on, different inclinations. You know, if you think about what's that thing that Bobby's always talking about? Free will and determinism. So if you think about determinism, you go, okay, each little thing has an impact and brings me to this way and that way. If you think about that chain of events, each individual child will have so many different things going on. When they go to school, they might chat to one person, which therefore leads to this friendship. And then, so there are so many different things. But, and that's the thing, I don't think it's like, of course, worry about the genes, but above all, genetic makeup, one thing, but then what can be learned, you know, is a whole other thing, especially at a young age when kids are really, when their brains are trying to take on information. That's when you can offer the most value.
True.
Yeah.
Or looking into, have you heard much about CRISPR, the genome editing?
CRISPR?
Yeah.
No, but I think you might have mentioned it.
Yeah, it's like the same concept as the movie Gattaca, where you can edit the genes of your kids. And there's a big debate that we're having at the moment between, well, for one, it's illegal in most countries. So you're not allowed to do future editing of the genomes of your offspring. You can do editing on yourself, which is mostly like plastic surgery, certain vitamins that you take that can alter genes. But the whole debate is that we don't want to create luxury babies. We don't want to have babies that are just so better off already because of money at an early age. Because if we start doing that, then we can start eliminating certain probabilities of cancers, of mental illnesses. You can start affecting their height and weight, their build, their intelligence, their likelihood of this and that. And you're going to give your kids a way better off start, you know, and which is a good thing in a sense. But if you make it too good, that people with less income can't afford to do this, then we start having disparities in culture in the world. And there's going to be riots for that, you know? So we have a lot of restrictions on what we can and can't do at the moment. But I have been looking into it and just sort of following on with where we're at. And CRISPR is the technology that allows the gene cutting. It's the cutting of the genes that we want. So if you start cutting off certain bad habits and traits that you don't want, you're going to have a more likelihood of the good ones. So it's about probability. And that whole technology is what I've been looking into, because you can't obviously do much for yourself at the moment. It's more like offspring that's going to have the best chance. But it's interesting to see what you can and can't do and where it's going to go, because this technology has only been around for a couple of years now. So it's like, fuck, where are we going with this? You know, it's crazy.
Man, I really think Black Mirror's got it sorted out. If you watch, there's one episode I'll send, and we'll make sure it's in the link. There's one episode which relates to this a little bit, but you have to pay attention to the whole episode to catch it. Otherwise, you might miss it. And that episode is the one where the soldiers go out, you know, and they go killing people, and they've got implants in their eyes. You seen that episode? Yeah. So that kind of explains it. Like, if people go back and watch that episode, we'll put the link, we'll put the episode name and details in the description.
But isn't that more about what's that word, like dogma? What's that word for bad publicity on another country or race? Shit, I can't think of the word, but like bad dogma or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Isn't it just that manifested? Wasn't that the message from that episode?
Yeah, but what actually happens is these kids, because that's what I mean, because you have to watch this, because I watched it twice, once ages ago and then once recently. And what happens is, at birth, people are screened straight away. And people that have seen, people that the screening shows potential defects, like this guy is susceptible to getting the flu, this guy is susceptible to getting this injury, this all happens as soon as the kid's born. And then there you go. That's what happens. You either, if you are screened and it's found that you have these certain potential defects, you become part of whatever they call them, monsters or whatever. And if you don't, you live life as normal. But the way that they tie this in is that these soldiers go out there and kill. They kill off these people, these little babies, not these babies that have grown up. You know, they go and kill these people. But that can be hard to do if you're looking at this person and you go, what's wrong with him? And why am I killing this innocent person? So the implants in their eyes make them see these things, these humans, as non-human. They see actually a monster. They can't even hear them speak. Whenever these humans talk, it sounds like a shrieking sound. But what happens is, one of them has developed this little thing, this little laser that kills the implant in your eyes, and he shines it on one of the soldiers, and the soldier suddenly sees his friends, his teammates, killing all these random humans. He doesn't know that his implant has been disabled, so he starts protecting it. And then the woman that he saves tells him, I'm not a monster. This is what you're seeing. This is me. What happens is your implant makes you see something else. And he's like, why? And then she tells him, at birth we're screened, and then that's it. We're divided based on what comes up in the screening.
Exactly. That's exactly
crazy.
It's that whole thing manifested. And that's exactly what I'm saying about creating that disparity between financial levels. You know what I mean? Like, if we think that we're good and we start eliminating everything, like the loose ends, you know, then we've got a real problem. Because then who's to say what's a loose end and who's to say what's not? Because there was a big argument with this whole CRISPR thing, because you can start eliminating genomes that carry, I don't know what the exact term of, but the thing that makes like midgets or people with Down syndrome, you can start cutting that out. And people are saying, who's to say that that's a defect? You know, like obviously people with Down syndrome, or I don't know what the word is, but midgets are going to be like, hang on, like we can function just as well as you can. So who's to say, like who sets the boundaries of what's acceptable and what's not, you know?
Slippery slope.
Slippery slope. Sure. And it's going to take a while before we can do this, you know?
Yeah. I think, look, I think my thoughts on it could change in the future. Right now, if there is a strict baseline of things that we could eliminate, such as the potential for cancer, or the potential for certain things, and everyone could agree on on a list of things that at birth your child, you could say, okay, this child is not going to have cancer and he's not going to die from the flu. and that's it.
Yeah.
Good. But like I said, slippery slope, because then you start saying also, well, the way the world works is yin and yang. Death is a part of life, and these things that happen are also part of the way. Like, it can get crazy there. It's interesting though.
Yeah, exactly. Something to watch, I think. But in terms of well, I guess what we're really talking about is just knowing who we are. You know, that's the whole interesting one, to know our DNA and know our capabilities and certain dispositions that we may have, weaknesses that we may not be aware of, and strengths that we didn't know were that, you know, which is good that you've done these scans. I think it's going to be a big key factor in a lot of changes to come and a lot of things that you're going to implement based off of that. You know what I mean? I think it's important.
And anyone that does it will get that benefit out of it, because instantly when you have the data, you can now curate a better diet. If you go through, you can see, because based on your DNA, there are certain things that you will, this is what I read from the DNA, there are certain things that that you might respond better to, certain foods, certain things. If you think about it, if you think about where you've all come from and whatnot, people from different areas respond differently to different foods based on them growing up eating this. So having the information, you can put together a much better, much more effective nutritional plan, diet plan, even just a training plan, knowing how much or how many calories and how many kilojoules, you're burning. This is all good information, very, very good information. Yeah. But the main thing is from that, health, like as well as knowing about yourself. For me, it was health, because once I know more, I can do more. And health is getting more and more of a big focus, not just in like being healthy and training, but longevity, similar to Danielle in the book, longevity, trying to focus on certain things. I'm looking into whatever I can that I find valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Just to stick around for as long as you can. You know, that we spoke on that as well, I think, in the last episode, that every single living thing has that, somehow they just have that inclination and that second nature to just want to be here for as long as we can. No one, you know, your body has certain functions that stop you from dying, you know? So that alone, our DNA just tells us that we want to be here for as long as we can. And something like that, like adopting a really healthy habit from an early age, is gonna help you. You know, that's the goal. But in saying that, you know, those we spoke about this in the last episode as well. Upgrade Talk 2 is that we've been setting like a lot of challenges for ourselves, and you've always been doing this. I have friends that have done this that's got them into high places. And we spoke about having this childlike mentality, and this childlike mentality is just exactly that. So if you see a kid and they're just running around, jumping and touching things, and they're challenging themselves to do things. It might sound trivial, but they want to see if they can jump over this or jump and touch that, or who can run faster, who can do the bottle flip, whatever. But man, I've been taking that serious. And last night, when you're talking about that stubborn focus, oh man, it was driving me insane.
No.
I don't even know what I was doing.
Especially when you know you can do it.
Yeah. I was just going to do a little workout, you know. I had, you know, a good little session planned. And I'm like, yeah, this would be good. So after I did 5 by 5 minute round skipping, just for like a workout and mixing like body weight stuff in between. And then after it, because remember how we spoke about the importance of play after doing the work? Because that's where we get and start adding things. And I was like, all right, I can't afford to do this while I'm doing the workout, because it'll probably take away from that. So I'll do the workout first, and then after I'll just have a play, see if I can get some double unders or tricks or whatever. And then as I'm doing it, I just felt myself just click. I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck here now and I have to get this. And I just wanted to do just 3 consecutive crisscrosses, because I realized I've been doing them wrong the whole time. You got to do the criss and the cross. It goes twice. Anyway, I'm like,
1, 2.
I have to get 3 in a row. And dude, it took me 42 minutes, and I counted, I filmed the whole thing, and I went through and found all my little mistakes. Dude, 177 tries and 42 minutes. And I got it. And I was fucking over the moon. Could not believe it. And I was just G'd up. And you know, but it just gets that mental rep in. It's like, if I set my mind to it, I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter how long it takes, how many times I stuff it up. If I have to come back the next day, I'm going to get it done. And I have that, like, I feel that, you know, you just feel it inside of you that you can do anything at all.
Man, and the way that, like, that process is the same way, it's the same process for achieving everything else. It's the same with so many things. Like, for example, like look at us with Tiki, the same thing. Like there's other things that we're doing now, which have like different ideas on where to take it. But it's the same exact process. You start, you try. Now imagine if on like the 110th try on that skip, you're like, fuck, I've done 110 tries. Good night. I'm off to bed. It was right there. You know what I mean? It was just right there up ahead. That's good. I feel like that's how you build that mental muscle. That could be the challenge, the mental muscle challenge.
Yeah, the mental muscle. I want to get that branding. Wait, mental muscle. Yeah, let's start that. The mental muscle or the player one, whatever you want to call it. Let's start that challenge amongst the audience. So like what I did, and you put one up too, yeah, of whatever it is, a little bottle flip, whatever you want to do. So like I did, I put this little clip up. But whoever's listening right now, it's the mental muscle challenge or the player one challenge, whatever you decide to hashtag it. And all you have to do is put a clip up of whatever the small or big challenge that you set yourself. Maybe it was to do a handstand or a cartwheel or read a book in a day, whatever it is that you just have to have that stubborn. Film it. Film the whole process. Film how many times you stuffed up, how many tries it took you, how long it took you. Take a 30-second video, whatever it is. Just put it all together and put it up. And what should we award the winner of our favorite one?
The winner of the Mental Muscle Player One Challenge. Look, maybe we'll think and get back to it, but it'll be a prize. We'll make sure it's something that you'll definitely like, even if it comes down to like a cash prize. You know, something that is someone will use worthwhile. I'm not going to give them a pair of socks.
You know, hey, we should get a few copies of the Game is Life book and start giving that out.
Yeah, we should. We really should. I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
We'll think of a prize. That's definitely an option. But yeah, that would be good. That'd be sick because people start seeing it. You know what I mean? Because once you start seeing it for yourself, because you can hear us talk about this and it sounds great. It sounds cool. But once you start doing it yourself and you actually see, oh shit, I can really do whatever it is, whatever the goal that I set myself, if you just sit down and keep those repetitions, keep failing, keep trying, keep doing it, and put it out there. I want to see how many times you stuff up. You know, everyone just wants to put
it's like, it's also one of the benefits of participating in this mental muscle challenge, because what you'll find is that this can be a lifelong challenge. And once you start, you find yourself doing this in so many different ways. The benefit is, which was mentioned, but I'll mention it clearly, is it's in the title. It's a mental muscle. So you're engaging in a mental rep. Just like how we have physical reps, you know, lifting up weights, we have those mental reps. This mental rep is the muscle of persistence. And it teaches you that it can be done with persistence. You know, you go again. I myself have fallen in so many traps with it where I've been stuck somewhere for ages, and you never want to go. The only times I've gone is if I've been something that's like look, you can't sit there and be like, all right, I'm going to do a triple backflip in 30 minutes, and you've never backflipped before. Won't get done. You'll get benefit from trying, but it better off would be, I'm going to do a triple backflip by the end of the year. And then you go, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We'll have some guidelines. It can't be something too crazy that's not realistic to get in a day or a session.
Or mental muscle challenge. It's going to be good. You're going to be engaging in mental reps, building the muscle of persistence.
Let's call it the Player One Challenge. I want to cop that cloud
Player
off the back end of it. Yeah.
Done.
Player One Challenge.
Player One Challenge. Hashtag Player One.
Player One, yeah, with the one, not the NE. Player One. Hashtag Player One Challenge. Boom. And we'll think of a good little prize. We'll put a post up, and then probably today actually. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to see your videos on the Player One Challenge.